Okay. So hello, my name is Shamika. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I want to get into talking a little bit about who I am. I know you see me a lot in the facility, but you're not on my team. So I know I want to kind of give a formal introduction of myself for the purposes of our interview today. So I'm Shamika, of course. I'm one of the counselors here, and I run the creative arts program here as well. And so, as a counselor, I do provide a lot of the duties that your regular primary counselor does. But today, I've been asked here for a special reason, and I'm going to get into that today as we make our way through the interview. But I am, again, a substance abuse counselor who's been credentialed through the Missouri Licensing Credentialing Board. And I've been a substance abuse counselor here for approximately 4 years. So if you have any questions about my background, you can definitely ask me. You can actually look at the wall and see some of the accolades that I have and some of the certificates, so you can get a little bit more informed on what I do. And you can do this with any provider that you have here as well. I want to get into the subject of confidentiality as it relates to why I'm pulling you today into a session. I recently heard on the floor a provider came up to me to do a risk assessment with you today. And so this won't be like any other session that you've had. We're going to talk a little bit today about something that was mentioned to a specific provider. They discussed that you had some thoughts of suicide ideation. Are you familiar with when this happened?
Um, yes. I think I mentioned something to one of my counselors one time.
Okay. And so I want to talk a little bit about confidentiality. I know when you first came into the treatment program, we talked a lot about confidentiality with you. I'm sure your providers did. I just want to reiterate that with you as we are going into a different kind of a process where it could mean that there's some limits to confidentiality. So some of the limits, again, as we're going to be discussing here, deal with suicidal ideation. So if you have any threats to harm yourself again or to harm anyone else, we would have to report that to authorities and to hotline those issues. If you have any threats to harm someone, we have to also a duty to warn that we need to pay close attention to and follow as well. And any reported physical abuse or verbal abuse or mental abuse that's been or sexual abuse that's been against you, we'll also have to report that to appropriate authorities in the hotline as well. And just further, any crimes that's been committed on our campus that you're aware of and you report, we definitely have to report that as well. So I really want to look at that confidentiality piece as we talk about a very sensitive subject today. So I know that you talked with your provider about these feelings of suicide ideation. I want to go into a little bit about what were you feeling when you mentioned your statement to this counselor.
So I've been having a bit of a hard time. And so I found out while I've been here that my mom recently died. And so I'm just not in a very good place with that. And it doesn't look good. Like I can't get happy. I'm just pretty down all the time.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing it seems like you're struggling with some form of slight depression. That's kind of situational based on the events that have occurred while you've been in the program with the passing of your mom, and that was kind of leading to some thoughts of possible suicide ideation. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go into an assessment. It's just a little brief risk assessment here, and I'm gonna see where you are in your thought process concerning this battle with suicide ideation right now. And then we're gonna make some recommendations and also set up a safety planning process for you at the end. Does that sound like something you're willing to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so these questions may come across as very emotional, and I understand that when we're battling with emotion, that it can kind of get the best of us sometimes, and it can be very overwhelming. If at any time you need to stop the interview process or the risk assessment, we could take a small break. and come back to it. There's nothing rushing us through this process. I just want to make sure that you feel safe and you feel secure and stable as you're answering these questions. If you feel as if you need more support, we can also bring your primary counselor into the session. Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first question I want to get into is, have you wished you were dead or wish you could go to sleep and not wake up?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm gonna just write these informational pieces down because I want to see what our recommendations are going to be towards the end of the assessment. Okay. All right. Um, have you actually had any thoughts of hurting or killing yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts. When you think about it, what does it look like to you?
It's mostly like I'm just, when I'm feeling sad, I wish I were dead, and that I thinking about ways that I would kill myself, but I'm still just thinking about it.
Okay. So you feel like it's still in the thought process.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna put down here that you're thinking about ways and means of committing the act. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So have you been thinking about how to go about committing the act? So we did discuss that that is a yes for you. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So with these thoughts, have you been thinking about acting on them, like taking it beyond okay, it's a thought in my head, but now I really want to act on that thought?
Still just at the thought of it. I've been thinking about pills or reaching for pills, but I have access to those, but I haven't acted on reaching out to the access yet.
Okay. So you have access, but you're not thinking of going towards the access at this time.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a no action right now. Is that what you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned pills, and so I'm seeing it seems as if you may have a plan. Is that a plan that you think of using the pills as a means of committing suicide?
Yes.
Okay. So do you? What I want to ask you now is the plan concrete? Are you planning it anytime soon? Are you planning it around a specific time frame or when it's convenient? I just want to know if the plan is active.
No.
Okay. All right. Um, I want to talk a little bit as we go down into towards the end of the conversation. If there was one thing that we could change that will alter the plan and alter the thoughts, what would that be? If there were anything that could change your current thought process or your perceptions, what would it be?
Probably just talking to someone about my mom,
Okay.
because I think a big part of why I wish I were dead is so that I could be with her.
Okay. So you want to talk about the grief and loss, is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that seems like a really good, healthy goal, actually, to process the grief and the loss and talk about how it impacts you and how it may be impacting your recovery as well. And I know you have a primary counselor that can help you do that. Do you feel like your primary counselor is someone you can go to concerning these issues?
I think so.
Okay. So as we come towards the end here with the risk assessment, I really want to touch a little base on some strengths that you have right now that's keeping you from going into the plan. So let's talk a little bit about some strengths that you have that is still keeping you from going full blown with the plan at this point. What are those strengths?
That's stopping me from getting to my goal.
What's stopping you from going along with the plan that you have in place for committing
Oh,
the suicidal act? What are some of the strengths that are keeping you from going towards that plan?
I guess, talking to my brother, because he's still here, and and knowing that I have people around me that care about me, and I don't want to let them down. I mean, I've been working so hard in recovery, and um, I want to keep working at it, but some days it feels like I can't. So, but I know that I have people who care about me and who want to help me. So I think that's what's really stopped me from acting on it.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like you have a lot of familial support that you're able to rely on and then to lean on when you need it, such as your brother and other people in your life and your family who, will be saddened by the loss of you. So it seems as if you have a pretty strong connectedness to family and to self. So I would see that as being a great strength. Do you see that as a strength?
Yeah.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make some recommendations here. It seems as if I'm gonna go through everything that we discussed. It seems as if you have wished at some point that you were no longer here, and that has resulted in you thinking about a plan, but that you do have access to something that can actually bring that plan through, but that you haven't really gravitated towards that access yet, and you're really only still in the thinking processes of that plan and not really towards the action of that plan. Does that sounds about right to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it seems like you have some great strengths as well, such as being able to rely on your family and being committed to your family, and also being committed to yourself concerning the way you fit into your family mode and how that is important to you and important to the people that you care about. And so those seems like some strengths that can help you throughout this process as well. At this time, one thing that I am going to recommend for you is that we do safety planning. So safety planning is something that happens when a risk becomes apparent. And right now, this risk is very much apparent. And so what we're going to do is walk you through a safety plan to discuss so not only sober supports, but also just supports concerning the concern of suicide ideation, people that we can rely on, whether that's your counselor, that's your family, or other members in the community. We're going to document those individuals. And then we're also going to write down important numbers and important hotline numbers. And one number I want to give you today, and I have it on my desk, I want to give you the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, and their number is 1-800-273-TALK. So 1-800-273-8255. And you can call them at any time and also discuss some of these issues that you may be having. But also, I really want you to rely on your counselors and to continue to process grief and loss, as I know that this loss has been pretty recent and that it could be really impacting some of your thought processes right now and impacting some feelings of depression is what I'm hearing as well. So with the risk assessment, I don't see really any true action here yet. So I won't make a referral to a hospital just yet because you haven't demonstrated a true action to want to follow through with this suicide plan that you have identified. However, what we're going to do is risk assessments every single day. I know that may seem excessive, but affect and feelings changes so often in our life. So we go from being really happy today into really down tomorrow. And with you having identified a plan, identified a means of committing that plan, and how you will go about doing the actions of the plan in your thoughts right now, it seems like you could be at a more of a severe risk than some other people would be in this stage. Plus, you also identified an issue that has brought you to a point of feeling a little depressed. So we're going to have your therapist conduct a risk assessment every single day, primarily around different times of the day to see if your mood or your affect changes. It's also there to keep you safe. We're also going to probably recommend to the nursing staff that we monitor you around your medication, as I know that you need that medication, but you also have a lot of access to it as well. So we're going to ensure that that's being monitored more securely, as well as your behavior being monitored more securely on the floor and on the unit as well. And with your safety plan, we're going to identify some coping skills, some things that are going to get you through the day. Can you identify some of those coping skills for us right now?
Yes, meditation,
Okay.
um, exercising,
Mhm.
and going to therapy.
Okay. Those are some great coping skills. What are some of the benefits of doing those activities?
They help improve my mood, sorry. And um, it's something I enjoy doing, so I guess it's something to look forward to.
Okay. So I'm going to ensure that that gets put on your safety plan, as those are activities that we can go to kind of use as a means of helping you to increase your mood in a positive manner. And also, it's little distracting techniques as well that can kind of help you um, do some thought stopping when it comes to the thoughts of suicidal ideation. Does that make sense to you? Is that understandable?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and send you over to your therapist, and I will have him continue to help you make that plan, that safety plan, so that you can be a little bit more secure here in the environment, and also get your needs met concerning some issues. It seems like with your depression. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it
Thank you.
was really nice to see you,
You too.
and I hope you get to feeling better. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Sure. Um, okay, so for mine, what time is it? Sorry, I have my next person I'm meeting at 3. Oh, we're still recording, sorry. So as for risk assessment, I was thinking that you could be someone who, for domestic abuse, for some reason or another, you've been referred to come see me and I can assess for domestic abuse or for homicidal, taking action against your spouse, something like that.
I like that one.
Okay.
I won't try
All
to be
right.
too severe.
Okay.
Well, can I be a person that you need to make a hotline for a duty to warn? That sounds fun.
For what? Sorry.
Can I be a person that you have to make the hotline for? Can I say that I want to kill him?
Yes. So I have to make a hotline for them.
Yeah, you would have to do a duty to warn. So you had to say, well, I have to warn him now. So you kind of had to alert the authorities. Well, I won't go
Oh,
there.
okay.
It seems like a lot. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I didn't know about that. Okay. See, I'm learning. I'm learning so much from talking with you. All right. So a duty to warn. I'll write that in my notes. Great. Good morning, Shamika. How are you?
I've had better days.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in to see me today. I'm Colleen Simpson. I'm a BCBA here at Alliance Pediatrics. So I'd like to talk with you today because of a reason that you were referred to see me today. I am a BCBA here, as I've mentioned, so I wanted to briefly go over what that means and what we'll be doing. So today's interview is going to be a little different. You were referred to see me because of a comment you made to your counselor about some concerns that you have or some potential safety issues regarding your spouse and potentially domestic abuse. So we're here to talk about that today and conduct a risk assessment to see if you or anyone else is in danger. And so typically what would happen is that our discussion remains confidential. Unfortunately, because we are talking today and there has been an expressed concern for safety, if anything you say today expresses that someone or yourself is in immediate danger or harm, I am a mandated reporter and required to report it to the authorities. Do you understand?
Yes, I mean I knew this was coming, so
Okay.
yeah, I
Well, I
understand.
appreciate you coming in to see me today to talk about it. I'm sure that had to be very difficult for you, so I thank you for coming in. So I see in your file that there has been a history of physical violence. So has the physical violence increased in frequency over the past year?
Yes, I mean, of course, he's a violent person. He always has been, and um, his behaviors won't change. And so I don't see the I just don't see him being any different. And I'm so used to it now that it's to the point where it doesn't even matter. Like, I don't matter. He doesn't matter. None of this is going to change, and I can't leave. So, yes, the abuse has gotten more physically aggressive. And one thing I won't stand for is him taking it out on my child. So if things have to get physical, I am more than willing to step in front of him and to do what I need to do to protect my child.
Okay, so I can sense the frustration and I can sense the hurt in your voice, and I'm very sorry that you're going through this. And you made a comment saying that you'll do what you need to do to protect your child or to intervene.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you can maybe expand on that a little bit, or
Well, I know I'm going to get reported. It's just what it is, what it is. But I can't help the way that I feel. He is one of the most frustrating individuals in the world, and he hits you out of nowhere. And I have a 3-year-old that I brought into this world, into this crazy relationship, and I have to protect this child. And if it means that I have to hurt him, I will hurt him. And I'm willing to do that and go through any means necessary to ensure that he does not hurt my child or continue to hurt me, because I'm very much over him and his behaviors.
okay. So is there somewhere that you could go to remove yourself and your child from this situation?
I don't see that as a thing. I've sent my child off to live with his aunts, and it's worked several times, but I don't want to be a burden to anybody, and I definitely don't want to be a burden to this system. And the thought of living in a homeless shelter with a child in a situation that I'm in, I just don't foresee that as being a viable option with the things that I need to do. And I really don't see the options. But I mean, I've done different things to ensure the safety of my child, even if I'm not so safe myself.
Okay, so I'm hearing that you you are not interested in using any of the resources through the county or through the government to find a safe place for you and your child, which I completely understand. That's your choice. But you did mention that you sent your child to go stay with his aunt, and that you don't want to be a burden. So has your sister or your husband's sister expressed any interest or any sense that you or your son are a burden to her, or that she does not want him or you around?
No, it's just you can only stay so long with certain people as a grown adult. My child is welcome with any of his family members, but as for me, I know that I need to take care of myself. But I plan on taking care of myself from now on. I will not allow the abuse to continue, and if I have to go through extra means to secure my safety, then I will. I will not be I will not be scared out of my own home by a tyrant when I too pay bills at that home and I too take care of my family at that home. I'm not going to be scared out of my own home, and I refuse. So I will go through extra means to secure my safety. And until I can secure my child's safety, he can stay with his aunt or his uncles. But for me, I will figure out the situation until he and I can reasonably come up with a separation plan that is going to be viable for both of us. I do not wish to stay in this relationship, but I wish to stay in my home that I pay for. So I have just come to a realization that it's either going to be me or him, and I plan on winning. I will not allow him to take me down. And if I have to go through extra means to secure my safety, I will. And I think you know what that is. And I've just had enough.
So I'm hearing you say that you're going to defend yourself, that you do not have any interest in leaving your home, knowing that he very well may not leave the home also and has a history and even an increase in physical violence towards you, and that you are prepared by any means necessary to stay in the home and to remain there, regardless of what that means. Does this mean that you have an intent, if the opportunity presents itself, to act violently against your husband?
Yes, self-defense wise, I will act violently against my husband. If he if he thinks that he can put his hands on me any ever time again in his life, I am prepared to go to the lengths to provide safety and security for myself, so that I can maintain my living situation in my home. And if it comes to the fact that we do fight, and I'm okay with fighting him, I'm okay with bearing arms against my husband. This is not, I'm not going to continue to get beaten down by someone who I chose to marry in a home that I pay for. And so if it does come to the point where I have to get physical, I will. And I will go to the lengths that I need to go.
Okay, so I thank you for clarifying on your comments and for being truthful. I am sure that that had to be very difficult for you, and that you recognize that I do need to report this conversation to the authorities. You have expressed an intent to act out or to react to any violence and respond with violence. And because of that, that shows an intent to cause harm to your husband physically and by any means necessary, which means that I do need to intervene and report you to the authorities. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. But I'm
Okay.
willing to take that risk.
Okay. And so I think that you are aware that you do need someone to intervene and to help you and to help support you and your child so that you can be safe, and also your husband so that he can get the help that he needs and to be safe as well. Because right now I am very concerned for your safety, your husband's safety, as well as your child's safety. So I am going to contact the authorities, and I do have a duty to warn, which means that I will contact the authorities and let them know that they do need to come interview you, and I will tell them what we have spoken about today.
I understand everything you're discussing, and I actually want this to happen, which is why I decided to have this interview today, because at least if it's known what's happening in my home, then my husband and I can come up with other ways of resolving our conflict. But I really want this to be reported in the sense that I've had several situations where I've reported abuse against him to only not have it come full circle. So if I can demonstrate that I am willing to go to those lengths to protect my child and to protect myself, I want that to be recorded, that I've done something to come and prevent some things from happening that could happen.
Okay. And that's something that will certainly happen. And I thank you again for coming in today. In terms of moving forward, I will be in touch with your counselor and ask that you come in every day, or as often as you can, every day or 2 days, to come in for an ongoing risk assessment to see if you or your child or your husband are in any immediate danger. And I will be in contact with the authorities, as I've told you. Are you interested in coming back to speak with me at all in the future?
Yes,
Okay.
As often as I can.
Okay, so I will go and I'll walk you out to the front so that you can make an appointment with our admin out front. And I will also be providing you with information regarding domestic abuse hotlines and your local authorities so that you can contact them if you need to.
Thank you for the help.
Thank you, and thanks again for coming in today.
I'm gonna stop the broadcast now. So
Can you go